Hi there, welcome to End-to-End Solution Architect session. Today, I'll be talking about Hashicorp Packer image building for Azure image. So, if you are following our series for HCP Packer image building, you already know that I have covered that how to install Hashicorp Packer, how to configure HCP Packer portal, and how to build image for AWS, GCP, and currently we'll be building the image for Azure. Well, so this is the overall architecture that we will be using Azure DevOps pipeline to build HashiCorp Packer for image building of Azure. Well, so let's go to the steps first. So here you must have the ADO access. So currently I am logged into my Azure DevOps portal. I am at the pipeline. So I'll be showing you each and every step, how you can create the pipeline, how is the code, and how is the HCP Packer portal also. So if you are already following this HCP Packer series, you know that we have created this HCP Packer registry. Well, so but if you have missed, let me show the tutorials where you can refer it. So here in our E2E Solution Architect YouTube channel, you will find lot of tutorials. Okay, but remember one thing, there are many tutorials which are members only. So if you are the subscriber or the member of this channel, definitely you will get the access. And once you have already logged in to your Google account, then you will find this member only identified or tagged tutorials over here. So as you see that this is the tutorial we created for HashiCorp Packer Azure pipeline for Google Image Builder. Okay, and this is also another tutorial which talks about HCP Packer with Ansible, how you can use Ansible or integrate Ansible with HCP Packer. There are a few more as you see over here: HCP Packer registry for Azure image build, HCP Packer image build for AWS. In this tutorial or in this session, I'll be talking about how we can use HCP Packer or configure HCP Packer for Azure image building. Okay, so you got this E2E Solution Architect YouTube channel for the members only tutorials over here, and you will get each and every steps from here. Okay, so from here in these videos, you will find that if you are very new to HCP Packer portal, how to configure it, how to create the registry for Packer registry, okay, and how to create the image bucket. These are called image bucket. Currently I have 3 image buckets, one for GCE, another for Azure, and another for AWS. And eventually I will show how to create the how to build the image for on-prem in some cases when you are using vSphere. So for vSphere, how we can create the golden images using HCP Packer. That is also part of this series. In our next few days, I'll be releasing that. Okay, so let's go back to the documentation once again. So it talks about that you should have the Azure DevOps pipeline access. Make sure that the variable groups defined in Azure DevOps. So let me take you to the Azure DevOps, and let's go to the variables. So here in the left side under pipelines, you will find library. Click on the library. Here in the library, you can create variable groups. Okay, so variable groups means it is a group of variables. You can create multiple variables and tag it to a single group. Okay, so it is simply as simple as that you click on create variable group, give a name and description, doesn't matter, and add the variables over here. Okay, at this point I'm not creating it, but let me show you that how the existing variables are created, particularly for Azure. Okay, so when we are building the image for Azure, definitely we need to have the credential to connect the Azure platform as well as HCP Packer registry. Okay, so basically we need two groups, or I have created two groups. You can create one group and uh, add multiple variables. Okay, so the purpose of creating this two groups is that one group is for HCP Packer credentials. So HCP Packer credentials are nothing but we need two variables to connect to the HCP Packer registry. This is the registry which will be connected from our ADO pipeline. Okay, so one variable is HCP client ID and another is HCP client secret. Now the question is where you will get these two variable values. Okay, so the first guidance will be that you can go to these tutorials I have already explained in the initial tutorials of this series, so I will be not repeating over here, but very quickly that once you log into your HCP Packer portal and then go to Packer registry, that's it, right? So I'm going to the HCP project. So this is the HCP project basically, or the organization I will say, not the project, because an organization contains multiple projects. Okay, so under organization you will find access control IAM. Click over that and you will find over here under access control IAM you will find left side service principles. So click over the service principle and here you need to create this service principal and you will get the ID and the secret. Okay, so here in my case I have a service principal already created, so let me but take you inside that service principal. Okay, so once you create the service principal it will be created without any key. Now you have to create or click on generate a key, then it will create the client ID and the client secret, and you have to copy that and come back to your pipeline, and here you create a variable group and adding this HCP underscore client underscore ID and add the value, and HCP underscore client underscore secret, add the value over here. But remember these are the secrets, so you have to log these secrets, so it is not in plain text and should not be readable by anyone as you see over here. Okay, so if you need to change or update anything you just need to delete this thing because you will not be able to edit the value. So completely delete that and recreate the whole variable once again. Okay, the same way that let's go back to the library and check the another variable group which is basically the credential to connect to your Azure platform. Okay, because in our case we are actually creating a an image for Azure cloud, right? And this image will be stored under Azure Compute Gallery. So here you see that we have already a configured Azure Compute Gallery named is Packer. Now, if the question is coming that how we have created this Azure Compute Gallery, so you have to go back to your the initial tutorials in this HCP Packer series, and you will find that every steps of how we created actually this Azure Compute Gallery. But here I'm showing you that we have this Azure Compute Gallery existing and we have this Azure Compute Gallery definitions as well. So in our case, we will be actually building an Ubuntu 22 version. Okay. And if you click over this definition, it will take you inside this Ubuntu 22. Here under VM image definition, as you see that we have multiple versions. Okay, so for the versions I have tested. Okay, so here in this case you see that we have two versions already there, the images I have built. So the new version I will be creating or building but through the new ADO pipeline, so we will get the third one over here. Well, so let's go back to our documentation once again. So at this moment we have the variable groups and we have this variable actually mentioned. Okay, let me take you to this directory once again. So in our case, the another variable group which I was talking about, it is the AZ subscription. Okay, so it is subscription related things for Azure connection. Okay, so I have given the name AZ subscription. You can give any names which is comfortable for you to remember quickly. Now the variable should be ARM client ID, ARM client secret, ARM subscription ID, and ARM tenant ID. Again, if the question is that where I'm getting these values, then you have to go to that initial tutorials and find that how step by step I showed that how to generate or find these values. so that you can create the variable. So overall, we have the two variable groups created. Now let's create a pipeline and use this variable group and how it will be actually integrating with the pipeline. Let's see that. Okay, so click over this left side pipeline. Okay, click over new pipeline button. Okay, in this case we will be using GitHub for the code repository, so I am selecting GitHub. Now it is asking me to select the repository from here, so I am selecting the Hashicorp Packer, which is the private repository. Okay, and selecting an existing Azure pipeline YAML. Branch is main, and from here I will be selecting the path where my YML, actually the pipeline YML is there. So in our case, it is ADO image builder as your child. Okay, this is the pipeline code and clicking on continue. So it is taking the pipeline code and creating the draft of the pipeline. Okay, so at this moment I have no trigger, and this is a very overall script for creating a pipeline. And just to let you know that where to concentrate is that we have actually this part task, which is the display name packer build, and here we are actually building this packer build, performing the packer build. Okay, so here as you see, that is the pipeline script and there is a shell script over here. Okay, so let me take you to this pipeline script and this shell script. So if I take you to this, actually the Git repository where we have this, so under ADO pipeline, we have this Azure child YML. Okay, and before that, let me take you in the middle that if you have any queries or you need guidance when you are actually using this or provisioning this pipeline, building the golden image, and you need any assistance, technical assistance from subject matter expertise, you can book one-on-one meeting with us for any technical problem solving advice from any subject matter expertise, also for job search, career building, guidance, certification, and the training advice, as well as if you have your small business and you're looking for advice or implementation of your IT setup, definitely you can contact us. Additionally, if you think you are the expert, you have a lot of expertise in technical in any cloud environment, whether it is Azure, AWS, or GCP, and you want to share your knowledge and contribute to the society, and you want to join E2E Solution Architect Forum or the Solution Architect Forum with us, please send us a note that you are interested to join us, and we will set up a call, and definitely we will welcome you in the board. Okay, so let me go back to here. So here in the pipeline, I was about to show you the file path for this packer azure.sh. So it is under pipeline script. So let's go to this pipeline. Then it is under script. Okay, and now we have the packer azure.shell sh means shell script. Okay, you see that we have for the AWS and for the GCP. In the tutorials for AWS and the GCP, I have covered those two, and this time I'm covering for Azure sh. So it is a very simple shell script where we are just browsing to the particular directory where we have the Hashicorp Packer image building code. Code means the .hcl packages, the files basically. Okay, so it will browse to that. I will take you there, and then it will actually perform packer init command. So it will initialize packer and will simply run the build command, which is the packer build, and will consider the variable file, which is the values dot pkrdvats.acl, which actually contains the actual values which we pass for building this image. Now let me take you to this image builder Azure Packer version 3.1. Okay, so here in this case, well, let me take you to this Hashicorp Packer image builder. We have Azure Azure Packer 3.1. And as a standard Hashicorp Packer project, we have Azure Packer HCL build, data, locals, plugin, values, and the variables. Okay. So, but I'm not going into the code level details because it is simply as building a code. But definitely, if you need any assistance, as I said, that you can book a time with us and get the technical assistance and the guidance how to build it with the definitely the whole code. Okay. But here in this case, what I wanted to show basically the values.packer.hcl. Definitely it will differ in your case, but what we are passing that this is the Azure region, US East and US West. We are actually building the images for multiple regions. So it is kind of a disaster recovery. If one region is down, then you will be able to get the golden image from the secondary region. Okay. Now this is the VM size. The VM size for the instance actually which will run to help Packer to initialize and build. It is the Packer build bucket name, which is the actually this Ubuntu 22 Nginx as you see over here. So if I take you in the Packer, let me take you the Packer registry. So if you quickly come to that Packer registry, go to the projects over here in the HCP Packer console basically. So I'm going to the project and here I have list of services going to Packer. In Packer, I will have the Packer registry, and inside this Packer registry, as you see, these are the image ID or the image bucket. Since we are using this Azure, you see this, the image ID or the bucket name for Azure is Ubuntu 22 Nginx. And that is the same with the Packer bucket name over here. And who is the cloud provider? It is the Azure. This is all about it. Okay, definitely we have to mention the storage account where this will be actually stored because we have this Azure, this gallery. Okay, so here in this case, we need to have the storage account where these images will be stored. That's why we have this image account. Again, going back to our pipeline over here. So we have our pipeline drafted definitely. At this moment, I am not running it. I am just saving it. Okay. So once I save it over here, it's saying creating pipeline. Okay. Again, going to the pipelines. At this moment, it will not show under this recent. So I have to go to the all because it has not run yet. Right. So this is the one showing that no runs yet. So I'm clicking on this and just doing rename. Okay, so the name, let me put it over here, that demo Azure Packer image build. Okay, so only this, clicking on save. And now what we can do that, now let's open this as edit. So I'm just opening this pipeline in edit mode because at this time we will add the variable groups with this pipeline, right? Because we have to pass those credential to connect the HCP portal as well as to Azure cloud. Okay, so here click on these three dots, okay, and go to this triggers. Click on this triggers. So it will open the portal where you can actually assign the variables over here. Okay, so here click on the variables. Here you have pipeline variables. We do not need to bother about it. Here we have variable groups. Okay, so here in the variables groups, we will link variable groups. So click on variable group over here. Now, one by one, we have to add it over here. So we are adding HCP Packer credential. This is the variable group. Okay, so it has added, again clicking on link variable group, and it is a Azure subscription thing. We have 4 variable already configured in the variable group. Okay, and we are clicking over here that save, only save, and I'm not putting any comment over here. That's fine, right? So we have added the variables. Now why we have added the variables, let me take you to this source of the YML basically. At this moment, okay, let's go back to the pipeline, again to all pipelines. And here in this case, we have the demo no runs yet. Okay, let's open this edit pipeline once again. And let me show you that when we have added the variables, how the variables, or how the code, the pipeline code will know that how to utilize those variables. It is not only just assign those variables. Okay, so in the pipeline code, if you scroll down, let me scroll down, and you will find that these are the environment variable I have added over here. So the environment variable, you see that we have the HCP client ID, HCP client secret like this. Okay. And also the pkr var subscription ID, pkr var tenant ID, client secret are like this. And these are the actually the mapping variables which are identically mapped with the variables we have added in the variable groups. Okay, so all these dollar parts, these are the identical name. Okay, so which are as the variable in the variable group we have. Okay, so let's go back and this time give a run. Okay, so I'm just clicking over this run and it is asking me to commit. Saying okay, click on run. It is starting the run, showing queued. I'm clicking on Packer this. Okay, it has started. It has started Packer build. Installed plugin. Okay, it has failed for some reason. Let's troubleshoot that. So clicking over here and it's saying that so the error is basically showing that the client credentials token, okay, received HTTP status 401, which is basically the invalid token. So it means that token I have passed is invalid, means the token I created or used it in the variable, it is basically the long time back I created, and the token actually it has passed it. So I have to recreate the token and update that variable group for the particular variable ID and have to just rerun. So let me do that. Okay, so basically if I take you to the variable groups, here we have the variable groups for Azure subscription, and under Azure subscription we have to update the variable values. So currently we have this client ID, ARM client ID, ARM client secret, and subscription ID, tenant ID will be same. So we basically have to update the client ID and the client secret over here. Okay. So let me take you to this Azure portal and how we can generate client ID and the client secret. Now, as I was saying that we have to create the Azure client ID and Azure client secret, basically. Well, so we know that to create this Azure client ID and Azure client secret, we need to go to the Active Directory. Okay. Now, now I need your attention over here. So if you actually search the Active Directory as we used to do, so it is Active Directory, you will not find anything like that, Active Directory. But AD, Active Directory, you used to get that, right? Now let me tell you that recently um, Azure has changed the name of the Active Directory. So the Azure AD, which was in past, is currently named as Microsoft Extra ID Free. So the functionality, service, nothing has changed. Okay, but the name has changed. So wherever it was Azure AD, it has become Microsoft Extra ID. So as you see that Azure AD free has become Microsoft Extra ID free. Azure AD Premium P1 has become Microsoft Extra ID P1. So it is just replacing Azure AD with Microsoft Extra ID. So if I go back to my Azure portal again and search by Extra ID, I should be getting this. Okay, my bad. It is Microsoft Intra ID, not Extra ID. Okay, so clicking over this Intra ID. So if I go over here, it is Intra ID, not Extra ID. Okay, so it is loading Microsoft Intra ID from now. And to change or create the client ID and client secret, it is basically we have to go to the app registration on the left side. Okay, and there are two more things as we have seen in the variables, that we have this subscription ID and tenant ID. So if you have missed the subscription ID or tenant ID before, so here on this page, when you have logged into your Microsoft Entra ID, you will find your tenant ID from here. Okay, so we are going to app registration, left hand side panel, clicking over the app registration, and over here you see like that showing it is the certificates and secrets expired, and that's the reason our pipeline was failing, and it is saying that the certificate credential has expired. Okay, if we take it to this part, it is saying that the credential are expired. Okay, so we have to create a new credential over here. So simply in app registration, select the app we have created. In my case, we have created the app named Packer. And here in the error or warning message, it is showing that a certificate or secret has expired, create a new one. And I'm clicking over that. And now under the client secrets, the expired secret is already listed over here. So we'll be deleting this secret. Let me delete it because it is no use. Okay, now clicking on new client secret, giving a name, not a name, just a description, Packer build, just keeping it to 180 days or 6 months, like that, whatever you minimum one. I'm keeping it over here 90 days. You can do the custom as well, because I'll be deleting just after recording this tutorial over here, and clicking on add. It has added. Now I'm copying the value and secret ID. Well, so our secret has been created. I'm just going back to the app registration. The app name is Packer as we have created, doing a refresh and showing that the application ID over here. So we have created the secret and it is showing the client ID. So we have to copy this client ID. So go to that app and copy the client ID. Well, so we have the client ID copied and the secret we have created already. And if you want to see the secret, definitely it will not show, but you have to click on this secret one. It's showing that we have 0 certificate and 1 secret. So I'm clicking over this secret one and it will take you under the client secret page and you'll find that you have 1 secret created. Okay, now we are done. We are just going to this home Azure portal and let's go back to our library where we have to add this to the ARM client ID and ARM client secret. Okay, so basically ARM client ID is this. I'm just copying this keys so I can paste the values quickly. Okay, so I'm just clicking, deleting basically this and adding secret. I'll be hiding this part and locked the client ID too. Okay, and saving it. Okay, it has saved. Perfect. So one more thing quickly on the variable group, as we have added this variable as a key value pair over here. So if you are using your Azure Key Vault, you can actually link your Azure Key Vault to bring the key value pairs. Okay, so it is the linking the secret from here. Okay, I will show in my next tutorial that how to do that. But at this point, let's use this variable from here. Okay, now let's go to our pipeline once more. Clicking on the pipeline, we'll just reinitiate the pipeline. Select the pipeline. Okay, Packer build failed again. Let's see what happened this time. Okay, again, it's showing that the invalid client secret provided. And it is also showing that ensure the secret being sent in the request is the client secret value, not the client secret ID. Okay, so it means that we have added maybe the client secret ID, but not the value. So we have to add the client secret value. Okay, so let's go to our Microsoft Entra once again. Going to app registration, selecting the app name, selecting one secret. Okay, and now they're saying that not the secret ID from here. So we have to copy the value. As you see the value over here, we have to copy the value as a secret. So I have just copied the value. Let's go back to our here this part where ARM client secret. All this troubleshooting are very much required. So it is good that when we are facing this error and we know that how to troubleshoot it. Locking the variable value and this time save. Running the pipeline once again. Queued. Started Packer. Checkout done. Build is going fine. As you see that it has started building this time. Okay. So what we will do, let's go to our Azure portal and image gallery. This is our Azure image gallery for Packer, and we had two images earlier. And if I take you to the ACP portal as well, let's me show you that how it is happening. So because it will push the metadata to the HCP Packer registry, but actual the image will be pushed into the Azure image over here. So here in the Hashicorp Packer registry, you see that we have one record is running. It is showing. Okay, so the record, the latest iteration is showing incomplete because it is still running, and it has started executing for creating the new image version for Ubuntu 22 Nginx image bucket, which is basically for Azure platform. Okay, and today is 23rd, 2023. So let's go to our Azure portal where in the versions basically we will find that when the image will be created, it will be stored over here. So let me emphasize over here that when we are building the image with Hashicorp Packer, the image itself will be stored in the cloud platform. In this case, our cloud platform is Azure. So the image is actually being created or stored here under Azure Compute Gallery. Okay, but the metadata of that image with the versions is being created inside the HCP Packer registry. So HCP Packer registry does not hold the image itself. It is very important to understand. Well, now we see that the pipeline is still running. It is running well, but it takes around a few minutes, around 10 to 15 minutes also sometime, because it depends on that how big image you are building. So when you are building any golden image, maybe you are installing multiple tools, so based on that it takes the time. In our case, it is a very simple image we are building. Let me show you the image code over here. So if I go to this image Packer project, basically Azure Packer project, the version 3.1 we are using under build. What we are doing, we are just installing Nginx. So you see that we are using a provisioner of and to execute this shell script, which is basically installing Nginx, updating the instance, apt get installs, system control, enable Nginx, and start Nginx. Okay, this is the part only we are doing, and it is still running 7 minutes, continuing. That's fine, and it will take few minutes and will complete. And let me pause this recording for a minute. And just once it is done, I'll be back. Well, so as we see that it has completed the image build and took around 11 minute 48 second. Well, now in pipeline, it has successfully completed, all green over here. And let me take you to the Hashicorp portal, how it is showing. So Hashicorp cloud platform is just taking a reload. Well, so over here you see that it has created the latest iteration V16. Okay, and showing active, up to date, and it is today's date, September 23, 2023. So if I click over this image ID, means image bucket, so it is showing the fingerprint labels all together, and it is also showing the parent and the child relationship. So once you are using this HCP Packer, it is the benefit of using HCP Packer registry that it shows the ancestry as well. So the image has been created from which image ID or which base ID. So in our case, we have created the image from a parent base ID. So it was the base V1. Now the children is actually the V16 over here. Okay. Now let's go to our Azure portal to see the actual image, because as I said, in HCP portal, this is the image metadata, not the image itself. Okay, so let's go to Azure portal, and here in Azure portal under Azure Compute Galleries, we see that we have this latest version. So let me extend it a bit, and this latest version, this is the image number, and has been created. Today's date, target regions are, you see that multiple regions. So if you think about the disaster recovery for the golden image you are thinking of, that if one region is down, you should be able to get that image from other region. So this is how we do that, push the image into multiple target regions. Okay, the replication status is showing completed. So if I click over this latest version, it gives me some info about the image has been created, the resource group, location, the Azure Compute Gallery name, VM image definition, like this. Okay, so overall we have seen that basically we have completed that how we were able to use HCP Packer registry to build the image for Azure, and a pipeline worked, means Azure DevOps pipeline we have used, and created the pipeline. It successfully completed the building of images, and HCP Packer registry also updated how we integrated HCP Packer registry by the HCP client ID and HCP secret. Also, we integrated Azure cloud platform with our pipeline by ARM client ID, ARM secret, as well as subscription ID and tenant ID. So we have seen overall that. So before closing, I'm just taking you to that the tutorials, recorded tutorials we have already for the ACP Packers, which are basically the members only. So you have to be the subscriber of this channel. Definitely, if you think it is a value for you to be the member or the subscriber for this channel, please subscribe. And if you have the cloud expertise, you want to share the knowledge with us, definitely let us know by dropping a note to our email ID. Well, thank you for your time. See you in our next session.